This video contains representations of gender-based violence, sexism, and oppressive language that may be triggering to survivors. If you need support or assistance, phone 1-800-RESPECT or Lifeline on 13 11 14. If you are in immediate danger, call 000.
It's exciting for a journalist as well when your work's read and shared and engaged with and commented on, and I personally like to engage with people about my work. I suppose I've always felt like that was a necessary component of my job, both as an employed journalist but also as a freelancer. So especially when you publish something, I think the implicit expectation is that you will share it on social media, and that the more it's engaged with or shared or commented on, the better.
Well, I write for Guardian Australia, and it's an online publication. And so in order to maximise my reach and build audiences and communities around my work, I am on the internet, I live on the internet, and I use Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and sometimes even YouTube in order to promote my work, promote my brand and develop audiences.
So I think social media can be really positive, and it has had lots of great impacts on the world and shown that people can band together and stuff, but it can also be really, really bad. People need to be aware of how it might be affecting them and know when to step away, which is something that I had to learn, especially if I was having a fight on the internet or something. Sometimes you just need to close your laptop and go outside. I came across a forum, like a pickup artist forum, and just had pages and pages and pages of stuff about me and the things that I deserved or was too fat and ugly for. And I read all of it, and I felt a little bit disturbed, but I think, like I said, been so desensitized that I don't think that I reacted as strongly as I might have in the past.
For me, it's probably escalated over time in terms of my public profile, that the more attention that my articles get, the more likely I am to receive harassment or abuse online, which can take a range of forms. It's often sexist or misogynist, but also I've had a lot of homophobic abuse as someone who's openly gay.
I am trolled on the basis of how I look. I'm trolled on the basis of the fact that I'm not very intelligent. I'm trolled on the basis of the fact that I'm fat, that I'm unlovable, I'm unfuckable, nobody would want me. I'm clearly like an agent of some kind of extremism. I'm part of a left-wing conspiracy. I'm also taking all the jobs from men. I shouldn't have the platform I do. I'm far too stupid to live. I should be pack raped. I should be gang raped. I should have my throat slit. I should be raped by dogs. I'm so ugly that if you see me on television, you should wrap your television in barbed wire just so the beast doesn't get out. I have had my accounts hacked. I had a gentleman get into my Twitter account and send racially abusive messages to some of my closest friends. I have been stalked, I've been followed home, I've been the subject of death threats on neo-Nazi websites. Getting off Twitter partially was because if there was a period where something was going on or there was a pile-on or something, it gets really stressful and anxiety-making to see all those notifications pop up all the time.
I do believe that trolling, abuse of women online has a purpose, and its purpose is to silence women's voices, particularly women of intersectional identity. The abuse began before I started writing the column for The Guardian, just because I'm an opinionated woman who writes things under her own name and with an avatar of her face on the internet.
I don't think that men would receive as many physical threats, threats of sexual violence. And I mean, for me, because I'm not a white person, that's a whole different thing. And then there's so many things to take into consideration. Trans women have it worse. There are we have to think about the intersectional impact of these things.
Yeah, I just felt like my private and work lives, the distinction was lessening, and it's a really uncomfortable and scary feeling as a woman, I think, to feel that you're constantly under scrutiny, but also being hounded for being politically active and strong in your opinions.
And it just reached a point where it was so distressing and so awful that I stopped caring.
I think the first time that I received any troll type comments on Twitter, I was really shaken by it. And then as it started happening more and more, I became very desensitized, which is kind of messed up that you can be exposed so much to it that at the end of the day, somebody tweets a really detailed rape threat to you and it makes you feel nothing.
My partner made the point, he was like, the people who criticise you on the internet don't want you to be better, they want you to die. And that's true. And it's making that mental decision to go, actually, I'm not going to be judged by whatever's going on with you. That's really important. And that's not something that comes naturally to women. Like, women are raised to be people pleasers. We're raised to, to flatter and be nice and be pleasant. And the idea of going, actually, no, you are not worth my time. Your verdict, your judgment are irrelevant to my life. It's actually a huge breakthrough. It doesn't lessen what they do, but it does actually create a buffer for you to react like a person.
There's a range of ways you can support someone. You can simply like their tweet, or you can follow them, or you can share their work, or you can amplify their profile. You can text them if you know them in real life, invite them for a coffee. There's a range of different things that I've really appreciated. That doesn't need to be active engagement with the people who are being abusive per se.
I think that bystander stuff is really important. Whether or not it deters people, I don't know, but it is definitely an act of solidarity that we need to partake in.
If you're a bystander, the block, ban, delete is really important. It's really, really important to not get into conversations with abuse, to not sort of feed the beast. People say don't feed the trolls, and I used to think, oh no, that's ridiculous, you should beat them with wit and charm. It doesn't work. Those guys don't do wit and charm, they do threats and violence. So it's really important for bystanders to intervene in reporting on other people's behalf. And this is a troll account, this person is targeting this person with harassment, this is like inappropriate content. The other thing bystanders can do is support the target, like a private message saying, I just want you to know, I think you're great. I just want you to know, like, I reported some dudes because they were just idiots and I don't even want you to worry about it, but we're here for you. That kind of stuff really helps.
And even if it's just a private, if somebody said to me, hey, I saw what was going on, I'm really sorry that happened, that means something as well. Even if it's not directly confronting the people who are doing it. Sometimes you just need to let somebody know that you're there.
One of the things that really meant a lot to me was when men in particular, like men who are friends of mine, said, and this is really not okay. Some of my friends have said, look, I've commented on issues in the same way that Kate has before, and I've never received this kind of backlash or abuse. It's obviously a gendered issue, and I'm taking a stand to say that this is not okay.
As freelancers, it's a bit of a nebulous sphere sometimes, and so if publications can support us beyond just like, okay, you wrote this for us, thanks, here's your money, bye, then that's great. Because sometimes it does feel like we're just out in the wild by ourselves, so to have institutional support is really important.
I have learnt to be proactive around creating buffers for myself so I don't have to deal with the abuse. So if I know that I'm facing somebody with a troll army, for example, I don't go on the internet for a couple of days, or I get other people to handle my accounts, and I don't read the responses. Other people go through them and assess the level of threat and file everything and do all the blocking and stuff for me. That costs money. Sometimes I negotiate with employers, if they're going to put me in that situation, that they will pay for that level of protection as an occupational and health and safety issue, which is fair enough, and I think that's what everybody deserves.
I think as a freelancer, I'm in a particular situation where I think we are very vulnerable to the impacts of this because we don't have institutional or organisational support per se, perhaps apart from our union.
Obviously, one of the most important solutions is to join the union, and I'm going to say that unambiguously, because as a union we can campaign for systemic industry-wide protections, and we can have collective responses to systemic issues. And it's never personal, and it takes a long time to work that out, that it is not actually about you. It is about whatever those people's problems are and what you represent to them, and it has nothing to do with your character or personality. And what that means is that there are issues that we have to collectively represent to the platforms, to the publishers, to the employers, and the best way of doing that is through a union.
When we talk about diversity, sometimes people are like, oh, that's just a buzzword, it doesn't mean anything. But the thing is that even if a man is really well-intentioned and stuff, there's stuff that men just can't understand because they've never been through it. And so if there are women leaders, then, well, they had to come from somewhere, so they know how it feels to be at the bottom and to be really struggling and stuff. So I think it's important to have people at every level who understand what the struggle is and what could be implemented to make it easier and to make work a good place and a safe place to be.
There needs to be a whole organisation approach and acknowledgement that this is a growing problem that is silencing women journalists, and it's also potentially, and I think I know of, a lot of people who actually feel unsafe working in this industry and are tempted not to simply do it anymore. So I think that's a real risk to our media diversity.
To report online abuse, either contact your local police station, visit www.esafety.gov.au, or visit www.genvic.org.au.